The most anticipated racing game of 2023 is here. Turn 10 and Microsoft are ready to launch their newest chapter of the Forza franchise, Forza Motorsport. A complete reboot of the series, a clean slate to begin anew that finally wants to separate itself more from the successful Horizon series that is dominating the casual scene. Therefore, Forza Motorsport is trying to be taken more seriously with the new FM, offering realistic and fair races while preserving the virtues that have defined the series in the past. A solid career mode, beautifully state-of-the-art graphics, as well as hundreds of different cars to collect and to fall in love with. So did they succeed? In my eyes, they absolutely did. I would even say I fell in love with this game. But how come? Why do I think it's special? And where do I still see some flaws that might make this game not as popular as I would like it to be? Let's start at the top and have a look at the graphics first, which are stunning. Or are they? I, for my part, have never seen a game with that high level of fidelity when it comes to the stage design. With thousands of trees, patchy grass textures, well-modeled buildings and waving flags, the tracks are a treat to look at and really feel alive. Just look at this footage of Watkins Glen, it's already getting dark, there's drizzle on the track and the stadium lights illuminate the way. I personally would say there's only one racing game out there that currently can keep par with Forza, and that's of course Gran Turismo 7. But this comparison in particular reveals some of the bigger problems the Forza engine currently has. For one, the image is more dull, not as vibrant and colorful as in GT7, and secondly, the auto exposure is just not as good. On a bright sunny day, like here in this hatchback race on Lime Rock, the auto exposure is fighting heavily against the sun, taking all the life out of the picture. What you're left with is an almost grey and dark screen that just feels a bit off. I didn't run into any of those issues in the third-person camera, so maybe it's just a cockpit cam thing, but still not ideal. Some fine-tuning in future updates might tackle this though, so take it with a grain of salt for now. And if you want to see a more in-depth comparison between Gran Turismo 7 and Forza Motorsport, stick with us, because we're working on a full video just about that. So feel free to subscribe and ring the bell so you won't miss out on it. Sadly, the auto exposure and the unsaturated look are not the only points on the graphics list. Some of the reflections just look awful, with heavy pixelation and sharp edges displayed no matter the settings. This can, for example, be seen here under dim lighting in the cutscenes, in the View Car mode, which you can enter before buying a new ride, as well as on track, when objects or opponents are further away and LODs or level of detail comes into play. I tested the game on my PC equipped with a Nvidia RTX 3090 Ti, but also on other machines with lower spec hardware just to see if the issues are replicable. And of course on ultra settings, with or without DLSS, FSR, ray tracing and so on. And whether those issues are also present on the Xbox, I personally don't know. And I also don't want to say that the graphics are bad either. I think the opposite is the case. In close quarter racing, door to door, you can see all the details in the opponent's car. The weather effects look amazing and the lighting is beautiful. Performance-wise, everything went buttery smooth as well. Everything is set to ultra here, 120% resolution scale without DLSS, sailing at a smooth 70 to 90 FPS at 1440p. But don't get fooled, this game is power hungry. On lower spec hardware, I firmly believe that you will have to cut back on the graphics. Turn off ray tracing, activate FSR 2.0 or DLSS 2.0, and also dial back the settings to high, medium or lower. Of course, the performance and graphical issues found here in this early version of the game are not 100% conclusive. And they still can be fixed with future driver updates. And I bet at the day this video launches, Nvidia puts out a fresh baked new driver update just to make this whole part of the video outdated. But anyhow, to conclude the graphics section, let's have a look at the over 500 cars present in this game at launch. At the car dealer, we have them all at one place, and look at that, holy moly, those are a lot. From modern sports cars to touring cars, GT3s, prototypes, there's a little bit of everything to explore. All cars are fully modeled from the outside and the cockpit and can be looked at the aforementioned View Car mode in detail. Nice. Sadly, we still don't get more new cars only a handful, and car classes are widely mixed like they were in the past. Best example is the Forza GT, where a Porsche RSR is taking on an Australian supercar and the super old Viper GT3. Yeah, at least there is some variety, right? On the track side of things, Turn 10 has done a great job. 20 tracks are shipped with the release version, which aren't a whole lot, but all of them are spot on and make me as a sim racing player feel right at home from the get-go. Le Mans, Laguna Seca, Watkins Glen, Suzuka and more, built with craftsmanship and detail. Hats off to Turn 10 to show how important it is to catch every bit of detail when it comes to the creation of real-life circuits. All tracks work with dynamic weather, a 24-hour day and night cycle, get rubbered in and react accordingly to temperature changes. Typical for the Forza series, there are also some homemade tracks included as well. The new ones are the Grand Oak Raceway, a short American track that features a lot of medium speed turns where your carry-through speed is super important, the Hakone circuit, a Japanese high-speed circuit with long straights and fast bends, and the Eagle Rock Speedway, which has Yeehaw all written over it. Some Forza fans might miss one or two tracks from the past, but I'm sure Turn 10 will deliver more over time. Just like they already promised the Yas Marina circuit at the end of the year, as well as the Nordschleife in spring 2024. So good looking graphics with some flaws, loads of content, let's finally drive. And your starting point here will be the new single player mode, the Builders Cup. After the introduction series where you learn the ins and outs of the mode, you compete in different tours and they're including series to work your way to the top. Typical for career mode, you start at the grassroots with hatchbacks and nimble sports cars before you swing at the big leagues. You can choose between different tours where you would like to invest your time first, although winning all series and becoming the overall champion seems to be the end goal of the Builders Cup. A typical session within a series consists of a training session, you choosing your own grid slot, and a short race over just a couple of laps. Interesting here, it's not really important where you finish the race. Yeah, sure, you can get a gold, silver or bronze award after finishing all the races in a series, but to complete the series, this is unimportant. With that approach, you can go however you like, increase the difficulty, take your training position as a quali result and have a more realistic approach to the racing, or fight for the overall title and start just behind the best drivers. It's up to you, and I have to say I kinda like that. It's freeing the game from the old start last, win the race formula, which is nothing like real life racing, and lets you customize your career mode experience freely. While racing in a series, you level up your car by stringing together a few good corners, overtaking and clean driving as a whole. New levels then unlock car parts which you can equip before the start of a new race. This is sort of like leveling a character in a role-playing game. Equip new gear and think about which attributes matter the most to you. New parts are equipped with car points and don't have to be bought with credits. Further, you can reallocate the points however you please. So if you feel like handling was bad in the last race, try and do something different in your build next time. So you start with a clean slate at the beginning of your series and slowly work your way to a slightly better handling car. A feature surely many will like and will help connect you to your car. But for me, the tuning got old quite quickly and I opted for the automated upgrades most of the time. Also here, freedom of choice, play the way you want. And I'm sure there are some hardcore Forza fans out there that won't like the way the upgradable car parts look like, because many of them are one-to-one the same we know from the Horizon series or even Forza 7. And yes, they will be disappointed that they can't make the car look the way they wanted to. All in all, I think the Builders Cup is a cool way to experience the game, farm some credits, discover different car classes and slowly fill your fleet. And Turn 10 can also still implement new tours to the Builders Cup and keep the experience fresh over time. So thumbs up from me for the Builders Cup, but it's finally time to hit the track, first with a gamepad. As I'm more on the sim racing than the casual side of things, I don't have a lot of controller experience and I would say I'm more of a rookie when it comes to that, but that's exactly why the controller support surprised me so much. You see, right from the get-go it was super easy for me to hit my braking points, to hit the apex of a corner and to stay in total control of the car. And that without any driving assists enabled. Sim steering, no ABS, no traction control, nothing. Truly remarkable and something I have never seen before in a racing game. So if you don't have a steering wheel at hand but want to hop into a realistic racing experience, Forza Motorsport is the top choice. Also a short word on the AI here, which are good adversaries. Usually they mess up from time to time, know how to race the track, and don't just follow the ideal line like puppets. Especially in the sharp end of the field, they will give you a tough time. Although I think they are not really great at attacking the player. What I disliked about the AI was 70% of the drivers in the rest of the field. At the race start, it's way too easy to pass them. Sometimes you overtake 10 to 15 cars with ease until the race settles in and the AI finally gets into a rhythm. From then on, they are hard to beat. So overall, the AI in Forza Motorsport is decent, and I think will even get better over time. But what about sim racing hardware? Do we finally get a Forza Motorsport that satisfies that itch that sim racing fans have? I think so, yes, but there's a catch. When booting up the game for the first time, heading to track, I was super disappointed with the force feedback. There almost was none. I wasn't even sure whether the game was detecting my Mosa R12 or not. But the key was to work on the force feedback settings, and oh boy, did that change the game for me. All of a sudden the FFB was responsive, strong and communicated pretty well what the car was actually doing on track. Typical for Forza, the loss of traction is quite pronounced in the force feedback, which makes the game with the right settings pretty intuitive to drive. So yeah, this is a lot of fun with a steering wheel. Is it super realistic though? I wouldn't say that, no. I'd rather say that the FFB was created with the approach in mind, what you would want to be communicated to you while driving. When are the tires losing grip? When are my tires locking up under braking? Is there understeer or oversteer? All of those things are overly pronounced in the force feedback. So not realistic, but easy and fun to drive. And definitely more sim racing than many other games that would love to claim that. But again, the key are definitely the settings, which is why I will post mine tomorrow in a separate video, so that as many people as possible will see those settings when they start playing Forza Motorsport. So again, make sure to be subscribed so you won't miss the video. If I had to compare it to other games, I would say it just comes short of Race Room or Assetto Corsa. Force feedbacks that are not highly detailed, but give you a ton of confidence in the car. Only with the difference that the other two are better in displaying subtle things, like how a tire hits a curb or bumps on the road surface. Or wet weather driving, which is alright in Forza Motorsport but nothing too special. It's more like you just lose a ton of grip, and yeah, it will for sure spice things up in some races and will have cars sliding off the track left and right. But I fell absolutely in love with this game in the last week, because now we finally have a good video game that also is really nice to drive on a steering wheel. And it's way more sim than any Forza before. It actually feels like you're driving a car. And if you like sim racing, you should definitely give it a try. Another big aspect of this game is its multiplayer that pushes Forza Motorsport over the line for me. Here you get a ranking and a safety rating system that are used to pair drivers with similar skill into one lobby, and that will give you something to work on, something to achieve in the multiplayer mode, which is just awesome. At the beginning you compete in 3 introduction races with the spec Honda Civic to determine your starting rating. Of course I got sorted in S-Type safety with over 4,000 points of skill. Because there were not a lot of players. Afterwards you can compete in spec in open events. In spec events, all cars are homologated and compete with the same strength. There's always a touring car series and a Forza GT series happening, with one more revolving series happening each week. At the moment, that's the prototype group series. Open events are a bit different. Here you can compete either in the Spotlight series or a specific class-based series where you enter the race with your own car, so all the upgrades you install to your ride in the Builders Cup will also be used here. Events usually are very short at the moment, which leads to something coming up basically all the time. The tracks are constantly changing as well, which gave me vibes from the old Battlefield days. You come online, you just hop onto a server, sometimes you like the map, other times you don't. I think that's exactly the right approach to get people playing at the beginning. A small, limited number of series and a lot of jump-in points so nobody has to wait. And that doesn't exclude any big events in the future, there's still room for those as soon as the servers fill up. On track, I already had a lot of fun racing online. Although servers were never full of course, with this being an early test version, but still in my first race I opted for soft tires and had a 4-way battle until the finish line for the victory just to get it snagged from me because the tires were done in the last lap. Brilliant. And I bet the servers will have plenty of races in the future, as Forza Motorsport features crossplay as well as cross-platform multiplayer. So no matter if you play via the Xbox Store, on PC Steam or on Xbox consoles, you can come together and race each other. Just keep in mind that playing online on an Xbox will cost you an extra subscription. Next, let's briefly talk about the penalty tool that worked fine for me in testing. Every time I got a penalty awarded, I knew why, and sometimes it was merciful in situations where you just messed up a little. So my first impressions here were in fact quite positive. Further modes are the free play where you can set up one-off races or do some practice laps. Rivals, a time trial mode with online leaderboards. Then there's a livery editor where you can actually create your own liveries and share them with others. There are of course replays after every race you participate in, where you can choose many different camera angles to see the action out of every position, but there's no spectator mode in the online play, sadly. Then there's a photo mode where you can apply quite a lot of things to make the perfect shot, and then there's private multiplayer where you can drive against your friends in some races, but sadly without any qualifying, as that's not allowed in private multiplayer. Don't know why. Okay, so Forza Motorsport is finally here and I think it was worth the wait. Yes, there are a few graphical aspects that could be improved in an overall impressive looking game, but the sheer amount of content, the well-designed user experience, the fun Builders Cup and clever thought-through multiplayer make for one of the best racing game experiences in recent times. It's fun on a controller, it's fun with a wheel when calibrated right, and future updates will make this game even better. I for my part can definitely recommend this game and will for sure invest more time into the multiplayer. And of course create more videos for you guys, starting tomorrow with my force feedback video. The game will go into early access starting from the 5th of October and will fully release on the 10th. Will you give it a go? Let me know in the comments. And if you're searching for a more casual racing experience, then maybe have a look at the Crew Motorfest, a game that Marvin quite liked in his recent review. Got the video linked for you right now on the screen, but that's it from me today. Thank you so much for tuning in and see you next time around. Cheers!